chart, but checklist too long. The thing I would want to tell you is that this conditions conducive monitor actually checks a bunch of things from the checklist off. And so kind of making sure that these can like that, I think that's what we called the checklist, right? I think part one of list number 1 out of 3 on the checklist was called the conditions conducive checklist. And so the whole point was to look through it and find conditions that were conducive to whatever, right? A long, a short, you name it. And so as Joel and I went through this, he was kind of running through with me, wanted to ask if the things he was thinking made sense. And so what we found is, I think we had, let's just say, I don't know what the number was, but let's just say we had 16 things on checklist 1. It's like now we have 4, you know, or 3 or something. I think literally the first list out of the 3 is down to like 3 or 4 questions. And we might have even relocated, you know, one of those items or a couple of the items to checklist 2 and 3, so that really people don't have to think so much about checklist 1, and they can think much more about checklist 2 and 3, which is, how do I find an intelligent entry now that I've established that conditions are pretty conducive to what I want to do, whether it's short or long or whatever. How do I find an entry now that I've kind of established that first part? And then the second thing, the third list was risk mitigation, leverage selection. Like, how much do I want to really magnify the results of this trade? How do I even decide that? How do I evaluate asymmetry? Is this trade worth it based on the real numbers? Or, you know, would I have to, like, what numbers would I have to use and what leverage would I have to use to make it worth it? Because you have some of these guys, you know, that didn't understand the math, and they're like in a position for $100 and they're like risking $5 to make $30. And these are guys that, like, let's just say get paid, if you broke it down, they get paid $200 an hour. And so they're like, why am I over here stressing out playing? You know, I don't think they put it together, but I was kind of putting it together for them. You know, at one point you're going to ask yourself, why am I playing this game and stressing over an hour to maybe lose $10 or make $40 or whatever the thing is, right? I think the answer to that is, it's just practice, so that one day you can do it with larger sums of money and you can evaluate the math the right way. But point being, out of your 3 items, we are going to roll out like an official redo of the checklist. Joel might already have it, so you might ask him. I mean, we chopped it up and cut a few things and changed a few things around like already a week or 2 ago. So you can ask him if he's updated the website to where it has the new checklist, which should be a lot shorter. And the reason that some of those things were removed is because of this little algo that we call the Connect 4, which, or the CCM, right? You'll see us call it the CCM because it's easier than saying conditions conducive monitor, or it's easier to type especially. But with that being said, obviously it is important to know how to interpret it so that you can kind of like use it to basically to get you to a point where it truly does substitute what used to be that long list of things in checklist 1.